Welcome to Reckless Paradise, everyone. I'm your host, Marissa, and I'm here with my co-host, Dystro. Say hi.
Hello, everyone.
I hope everybody had a very good weekend. Happy Sunday, everybody. We are officially on the final Sunday of the month. Oh my god.
Woo, woo.
Wow, February, yeah, it's the shortest month of the year. It flew by really, really quickly.
Oh yeah, it did.
Wow. It hasn't been an easy month, though. We've had some struggles here and there, like in my life, and I'm sure in Dystro's life too. Um,
Mm.
For example, we went a whole week without cable TV because we have an issue with our coax cord outside, which connects to the satellite. Um, it's fixed for now. They came up yesterday. It's fixed for now, but we have to get the coax cord completely replaced in the summer. So we have to call them back in the summer and get it done. But it's fixed for now. So let's hope it stays that way. And mentally, it's just been a really kind of tough month for me. Daisha knows why. I opened up to him
Mhm.
a couple days ago. But I'm actually doing okay today. Today was actually a pretty good day.
It's good.
Yeah, Daisha, I hope you had a good day.
Oh gosh, I don't want to talk about my day. Holy crap.
Well, hey, we're on the podcast now. It's Sunday. Finally, you can relax.
Yeah,
It's
until
pod night.
until next Sunday.
It's pod night, baby.
Baby.
Oh my goodness. Anyways, thanks for joining us tonight, everybody. I hope everybody enjoys tonight's episode. Alrighty, so a little bit of a backstory here behind why we're doing tonight's episode tonight. So just recently, this past Thursday, we finally wrapped up our Blink 182 pilgrimage with the album Dude Ranch, which was released back in '97.
Mhm.
So we are officially done listening to everything by Blink. We've listened to their entire main
Discography.
discography. Yes, there are some songs that I still need to show you, Destro, because there was an EP called Dogs Eat Dogs or something like that.
Dog eat dog. Yeah.
Yes, so there's like a few songs on that. I think it's like maybe three or four songs. I
And
think that's the only thing we're missing besides the Greatest Hits album. There's two exclusive tracks on the Greatest Hits album that I could also send to you if you want to take a listen on your own time.
mm.
I've already listened to them. They're really good. Um,
I mean, I could always do it after the episode, so I can be like, oh
yeah,
yeah, okay.
I'll send them to you after the episode. We even
Mm.
listened to the bonus tracks from the Take Off Your Pants and Jacket album as well.
Yeah, that was interesting.
That was a wild ride. But yeah, we're officially done listening to everything. I'm so happy that we did it. We will be doing some Blink stuff on the channel this coming month and months to come with some breakdown episodes, random ranking we have in store, um,
Mm.
breakdown episodes. We got album and song ranking we need to do. We have to revisit our song ranking episode from last year because apparently we did one.
Yeah, I'll do my due diligence here and do notes on that.
That's crazy. We did one last year. And the thing is, we only knew like the mainstream stuff last year.
Yeah, it's like it's gonna be interesting because like when we did the Billy Talent one, it was like we had like just done like the mainstream stuff that we knew, but we didn't go into like the whole discography for Billy Talent last year
At that time. No,
at that
we
time.
didn't go into it until August. It was like right around Fair Week we started it, and we
Yeah. Hmm.
finished it when I came back from Canada. Um,
Hmm.
so our next pilgrimage we are starting this Thursday is Def Leppard, and I am absolutely excited for this. I have stressed my excitedness over the last couple weeks on the show. I love Def Leppard, a very very sentimental group to me. It was one of my. It was actually the first group I was like really into as a kid growing up. More than AC/DC, actually, to be honest. At the time, I was between the ages of 7 and 10. I just absolutely loved this group. I still do to this day. They mean a lot to me, and I can't wait to show Dystro. And I think our friend Corey, is going to join us as well on our Discord server to listen. I can't wait to show these guys what I've been so obsessed about since I was a kid. Okay, so without a freaking further hesitation, let's get into our episode. Let's talk Def Leppard. We haven't done a Let's Talk episode in a very long time, mainly because we've been focusing on music outside of um, the podcast. So like we haven't really had a chance to like go over any groups in particular. unless we were about to listen to them. And here's one that we're about to listen to.
Mm-hmm.
So, with any other Let's Talk episode, it's kind of just a basic rundown of how this band started. Basically, their whole discography. I'm going to list all the albums that came out and when they came out. And yeah, this band has been through hell and back. They have had so many struggles, so many lineup changes in the course of their history. All right, so
Yeah.
they should just get a flashlight and just shine it on me over here. Just let me take the stage for a minute. All right. So
Spotlight
oddly,
God.
oddly enough, this group formed back in 1976. Now, we didn't get any music from Def Leppard. We didn't get any official album until 1980, which I will get to. But they formed in 76 back in Sheffield, England. So they are a UK group. And that's, like, I mean, you can't, it's hard to not be able to tell they're English. Like, if you listen to their interviews, they have a very strong accent. So, um, yeah, I'm not surprised by that. Originally, they were going to spell Def Leppard as deaf, as in someone's deaf, and the literal term for leopard, like the literal spelling of leopard. That's how they were going to spell it. However, at the time, one of the OG lineup members, Tony Kenning, who I guess they had all like went to school together, the original lineup, he had suggested it be spelled a little bit differently while he was designing the band's logo or name in art class. Hence why we got Def Leppard. It kind of, when I watched a documentary about this on TV, they said that another reason why that is because they wanted to be kind of like similar to like Led Zeppelin.
Okay, I can
Like
see
if
that.
yeah, like if you like take a look at the names, it's like okay, I can kind of see like why.
Because it's like the same, um, like number of letters for each thing.
Kinda, yeah, and it's kind of like the same kind of like format, like not the literal spelling of each word. Like lead,
Yeah.
usually
Mm-hmm.
like the normal form of lead has an A in it, but they took that out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so anyways, so the OG lineup at the time, back in 76, consisted of Joe Elliott, Pete Willis, who joined in 77, by the way, Rick Savage, Pete Doubleday, and Tony Kenning. Now, Pete Doubleday left on his own in 77, was replaced by Pete Willis in 77. Um, I don't know what ever happened to Pete Doubleday. I don't know why he left, but same thing with Tony Kenning. He also left on his own terms later on. However, when Joe Elliott tried out for Def Leppard, he tried out as a guitarist, which I don't think that would fit him very well. They quickly made the decision that he would have been more suited better as a lead singer, and I completely agree. I do not see him playing guitar at all.
Well, it's like some bands and stuff that's like they can have one person do two things,
Right,
like Mark and Tom and stuff that like they do vocals, but they also do bass and guitar.
right. Same thing with Patrick Stump. He plays guitar and he sings.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, yeah. I don't know. Like I like visually, I can't see Joe playing guitar. I can't.
Yeah, because I think it's just because I think it's just because like he has like a voice that like would fit Def Leppard and stuff. And I
It's
mean, his vocals
unmatched.
are yeah, his vocals are really good, like really amazing. Um, it's like yeah, I just couldn't see him playing guitar at all. Like that'd be weird.
Yeah, that's just like no. So in 78, we're going to fast forward to the following year. 1978, legendary guitarist Steve Clark joined the group. Now, I'm going to explain why Steve Clark is considered legendary in my book later on. Um, Steve Clark joined the group, and Tony Kenning had left at this time and was replaced by Frank Noon for a little bit. I have no idea who that guy is. And then Rick Allen came into the picture full time. And Rick Allen is also another very important figure in Def Leppard, which I will get to when we get towards the 80s. So Rick Allen
Mm-hmm.
joined full time as a drummer, probably top five drummer in my list. If I had to
Oh,
like,
yeah.
put a list together of drummers, he's in my top five.
Yeah, it's just because like of like what happens a little bit later on, but it's like he he is like really like one of the all-time greatest drummers of all time. Like there's no
Absolutely.
question.
Absolutely. And like I think that we mentioned this before, I feel like drummers don't really get a lot of spotlight in this world.
And they
I feel
don't.
they really don't. Like mainly people are focused on like the lead guitarist or the vocalist, but they don't really focus on like the bass player or the drummers.
Yeah, because like without the drummer, it's like it doesn't make the band as a whole like mean anything.
Yeah, it keeps the rhythm going. It sets the tone. It sets the pace. I guess we could say the pace of the song.
Hmm.
All right, so 1980 is their debut album, On Through the Night. I am very curious to hear this album because I only know, I think, two songs from that album. Hello America is one, and Rock Brigade is the other one. Both are really good. I can't wait for you to hear them, Dystro. Now, with Hello America, they tried to use that to kind of draw the American audience, and they kind of failed at that at this time. They kind of failed at that at this time. America didn't really pick up on the song Hello America, which is interesting because, like, now in 2023, like, Def Leppard's like one of the biggest bands in America. And I love that song as an American. So later on in 1980, going into 1981, the band had caught the eye of AC/DC producer Robert Mutt Lang. Mutt Lang is one of the most iconic producers of all time. He has worked with so many groups, including the AC/DC, like mentioned. He has produced a lot of really top selling albums for a lot of groups. And honestly, I think he might be my favorite producer of all time for any group. Um, so at this time, Def Leppard caught the eye of Mutt Lang, who then agreed to help them work on their second album, High and Dry, which came out in 1981. This is the album we're starting with for a pilgrimage.
Yeah, which good album to start on.
Absolutely. I've heard this album in my childhood. My dad has it on cassette tape, if that tells you anything. Um, this is old. This is old school. I'm looking at the track listing right now. Right off the bat, I know 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I know 7 out of the 10 tracks on
So
this
basically,
album.
almost the whole album.
Yes. You're gonna notice that with a lot of these early Def Leppard albums, except for Onto the Night. That one I haven't really heard much of, but with the rest of these, from like 81 up to about 92, you're gonna notice that I know a lot of these tracks.
Right.
So with High and Dry, this kind of also shot them to the charts. It helped them gain their audience in different countries, such as the US as well. Um, so before we get to the rest, I'm gonna finish going to the album lineup and kind of tell you guys the name of the album and when it came out. So following High and Dry in 81, 2 years later, we fast forward to 1983 and they released Pyromania, literally one of the greatest albums of all time. Not just like in talks in terms of like Def Leppard. I'm talking all time. Probably the best album of '83 in my opinion.
It's like like early 80s music, it's like it doesn't get talked about that much,
I
I think.
kind of agree, like to a certain extent. Like a lot of like the rock genre '80s, like early '80s music doesn't get talked about much. It's mainly because like Michael Jackson dominated the early '80s.
Oh yeah, obviously, but it's like I mean without like the music or the rock music of like maybe the 70s and stuff, it's like you just never know. I think it's like you said, like they had started like what 70, it was like 76.
Yeah, '76.
So 70, so it was like 4 years until they did their first album, which is crazy enough.
It is crazy. Like they released like an EP, like just to try things out, and then they got to their album in 1980.
Right. So it's like between that time and stuff, that it's crazy to think about, like with the lineup change and all that stuff. It's like it's just very interesting to say the least. It's just very interesting.
And the thing is, there is another lineup. There's a couple more lineup changes coming in
Yeah.
what I'm going to discuss after. All right, so following Pyromania, they released yet another freaking phenomenal album in '87 known as Hysteria. I think my dad has this one for cassette tape as well. And I've also heard this album all the way through. I think I actually might know every single track on that album. I'm gonna go look real quick.
Oh gosh.
Actually, Pyromania too. I know every single track because I had that for CD as well. Actually, Pyromania. Now that I think about it, I still have it. It's literally sitting in my room.
Mm.
So I do know every track from Pyromania. Let's see. I know 11 out of the 12 tracks from Hysteria.
Okay, so basically almost the whole album. Oh
I'm
boy.
telling you, I was a huge Def Leppard fan growing up. I had the T-shirt,
Huge.
the freaking album. Well, not all the albums, some of them. I had albums. I had a poster. I went to the concert in 2012 with Poison. Oh my god, I was absolutely obsessed. I had the biggest crush on Joe Elliott. Oh my god. Okay, so after that we have Adrenalize, which I also had that album, released in 1992. I don't know where that album went. I don't know if it's at my mom's, if I lost it. I don't know what happened to that album, and it makes me sad because I think, if I remember correctly, this was the first album my parents bought for me as a kid. So like it had a very sentimental value for me. This album too, I know every track. Yeah, you're fucked, my dude.
Well, we're fucked.
Okay, and we reached 1996 with Slang. I'm not going to talk about that album very much. Long story short, grunge was a big thing in the 90s. They were trying to change their style to suit the grunge audience, and it did not work.
Did not work. It's like because it's like like Nirvana had dominated the '90s with the grunge and stuff.
That and like
Like
Alice in Chains.
yeah, it's like there was just no way that they were going to compete with Nirvana and Alice in Chains and stuff. There's just no way. There
It's
was no way.
crazy because like a lot of the 80s groups fell off once the 90s came around, like Warrant and Poison. They kind of fell off, and Def Leppard even too at this point. They kind of fell off because of grunge. Grunge took over, and like nobody was listening to these hair metal bands that we all used to listen to in the 80s. Well, people who were born in that era. I wasn't born in that era, sadly. So
You were born early 2000s.
yeah, I don't even want to talk about that. Okay. Um, So we skipped to 1999 with Euphoria. This album's actually really not bad. This was their comeback album, in my opinion. It drew a lot of their old fans back because they went back to the original sound that they used to have. Um, I'm actually really excited to hear this album because I've never listened to it in full. However, I do know a few tracks from this album. I'm going to see how many I know right off the top of my head. 1, 2, 3. I know 4, and there's 13 tracks. It's because I had it on a greatest hits album that I had. So I am very curious to hear this album. I'm actually really, out of all the albums that we have to listen to, this is probably the one I'm really excited for because I've heard good things about it, and I'm willing to give it a shot.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to give albums that get a bad rap like a chance, a good chance. Because
Absolutely.
yeah, like it might be a bad album, but like at least you listened to it and you just had your thoughts on it.
Well, with Euphoria, like I said, this was their comeback album, so like a lot of people actually like this album.
Oh, I'm talking about like slang.
Slang, that too. Like I'm a little nervous, but I'm also a little excited. I just want to hear how it sounds. Um,
Yeah.
and then same with this next album, X, which was released in 2002, which is the year I was born. This album too was not as good for a lot of people. I think I only know one track from that album. But yeah, like a lot of this new stuff, I'm curious to hear how it sounds. So from here on out, the rest of the 4 albums that I'm going to mention, I have not listened to anything from. I don't think maybe like 1 or 2 songs on the side, just from like finding it on Spotify. So with 2006, we have the album Yeah. 2008, we have songs from the Sparkle Lounge, which I believe is just a bunch of covers from bands that inspired them along the way. If I'm correct, I think that's what it is. And then, wow, we went from like '08 all the way to 2015 with Def Leppard's self-titled album. I don't know why they waited till 2015 to make a self-titled album.
I think they should have just done it
At the
like better
beginning.
the very beginning. Yeah, it's like yeah, you waited till now to do your self-titled album. I was like, all right,
It's okay.
big ups to you.
And then we have Diamond Star Halos, which we mentioned came out last year in
Mhm.
2022. That was on our list of most anticipated albums for 2022. I am very excited as well to hear this one because this is like the most modern Def Leppard album we're going to get right now.
Right.
Oh, man. And I've only heard one song, and it's Kick, and it's really, really good. I like it. I can vibe with it.
Yeah, you showed me a video of it, and I was like, all right. Like, cause the only songs that I know is like, photograph and pour some sugar on me and stuff like that. That's
And
the only two.
Hysteria.
Well, and Hysteria. But then other than that, like, I had listened to Kick, and I was like, okay. And I was like, I thought I was like, okay. I was like, this sounds kind of different, but it's
It's
good
still
in a
good.
way. It's still good. Yeah.
I love it. I heard it literally the first day it came out. I heard it on Hair Nation on Sirius XM. They played it, and I'm like, wow, this is their new stuff. I'm kind of excited. So yeah, that is all the albums they've released. Plus, they've released some like live albums. They've released greatest hits albums. I had this album. It was called Rock of Ages, and it had 2 discs of their greatest hits. I think I still have it, but the case broke. The case broke on it, so like I don't know where it is. But
Rock of Ages is another one too.
yeah, I figured like once you hear some of these songs, I feel like it'll start to flood back to you. Like you'll probably be like, "Oh, I've heard this song."
The memories come back. It's like, oh god.
It's gonna hit me hard. It's gonna hit me so freaking hard.
Oh yeah, probably.
Because a lot of these albums I haven't listened to in many years. Like, and I'm talking many, many years. So
Mhm.
all right, so now that we've went through all the albums, I'm going to talk about more of the struggles and lineup changes that the band had went through over the years. So we're going to go back to 1982. Um, after High and Dry came out, shortly after that, guitarist Pete Willis was fired from the group due to excessive alcohol consumption, which was kind of disrupting his duties as a band member of Def Leppard, as well as recordings for Pyromania. So they had to let him go, and he was replaced right off the bat by Phil Collen from another band called Girl. Phil Collen, man, he is also really, really good. Like, they couldn't have picked a better guitarist to bring in.
Mm.
Like,
Yeah.
he's got it all. Like, he's got the looks, he's got the freaking style, he's got the freaking skill on the guitar. He's just absolutely amazing.
It's like I'm surprised that they like just didn't put him in the group like full time.
Who, Phil Collen?
I mean, yeah, but it's like
He's still in the group today.
now I meant like back then though,
Yeah, they
like
didn't come up.
way back
They
then.
never stumbled across him back then. He came from a different group. You got to remember the people that were in the original lineup. They all kind of like went to school together or like were in the same town. Like they knew each other from the same town.
Fair, fair.
With Phil Collin, he came from a different group called Girl, which I've never heard of that group. But my God, Phil Collin is breathtaking. He's absolutely gorgeous. A lot of the girls, wow, they love him.
Oh god.
So we fast forward to 1984, a year after Pyromania came out. It was New Year's Eve, going into 1985. Drummer Rick Allen was on his way to, I believe, his parents' house or his girlfriend's parents' house at the time, and he was involved in a really bad car accident. The seatbelt had severed his left arm, and they actually initially reattached his arm back to his body. However,
Mm.
due to infection, they had to go and remove it again, which I can't imagine. Like the mental feeling you get inside, like you literally just got your arm back on, like you literally just got your arm put back on your body, and the
Mhm.
doctor tells you you have to get it removed again. Like I cannot imagine how Rick Allen must have felt.
It's like the same thing that Jimmy Rave had.
Oh yeah,
Like
the wrestler.
he he had like both his legs amputated, and then it the infection like went so far up to his body, like he had infection in his arm, so like they had to amputate both of his arms too, which is crazy.
That
I
is
don't know.
crazy.
I didn't know like how he was still functioning after that,
I agree.
and then like I think like maybe like a few hours later, like a few days later or something, it was like he had passed away from like it wasn't blood loss, but it was like I guess it was just like mental anguish or something. I can't remember, but it was just like I was like, dude, like that's crazy to think about.
Right. And you know what's funny, like about Rick Allen? I'm like scrolling through Facebook here because I got a notification. A fucking picture of Rick Allen and Phil Collins just came up on my feed, like from like 27 minutes ago. That is so cool. Oh my
That's
god, that's actually kind of funny. I got like chills. Like, wow. Okay.
funny.
Now, though Rick Allen only had one arm, he was still very committed to continuing his role as a drummer for Def Leppard. And obviously, Joe Elliott and the group was not going to let him slip away, from Def Leppard just because he only had one arm. They figured something out for him. Now he uses his left foot to play any drums or rhythms that he'd usually play with his left hand. They use an electronic drum kit for this, so he literally plays drums. Um, it's really interesting. Like his left foot acts as a left arm, so to speak. If you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean it's very interesting that they came up with the idea to do it like very early on too, like okay, like our lead drummer has no left arm, so it's like we gotta come up with an idea to help him kind of cope with his injury, but also help him heal a little bit
Right. And the
in a
nice thing
way.
about Def Leppard, they're like kind of like a family. They're very close knit together. They don't like to see
Hmm.
each other struggling. Um, and Joel Elliott even said this himself in an interview. He sat down with Sammy Hagar on the Rock and Roll Road Trip show, and he even said that yeah, through thick and thin, like no matter what happens, like they're literally family. They don't give up on each other. They're very tight knit, which is very very important for a group to have. That's why a lot of these groups tend to last a long time. And that's even what Joel Elliott said. Like they're like one of like the few groups that are still left from that generation,
Hmm.
because a lot of these groups they either disbanded due to drama, members passed away and they decided to disband from that, or all the members passed away and there was nobody left, like, or they all retired. Like, there's just so many like reasons why a lot of these bands from this generation that we're talking about don't make it to now. And Def Leppard's one of those few groups that are still here with us. So let's enjoy this while we can.
Yeah, for real.
Now, even though this tragedy happened, more tragedy struck down the road in the years 1990 up to 1991. Guitarist Steve Clark, who had joined the band back in '78, his alcoholism got worse. It took a turn for the worse. He began to go in and out of rehab, and recording sessions for the album Adrenalize at the time began to become very, very destructive, um, thus leading to Joe Elliott granting Steve Clark a 6 month leave of absence. He literally told him to go home, cook himself dinner, just like do something, like freaking get yourself a new outfit, like that kind of thing. Like just go home, take care of yourself, spend time with your family, stuff like that. Instead of doing that, he kept going to pubs, which are bars, and drinking. Um, so fast forward to January 8th of 1991. At the age of 33, or no, not 33, excuse me, 30. Wow, holy shit, he was young. At the
Mhm.
age of 30, Steve Clark passed away from a mix of prescription drugs and alcohol in his system.
It's it's sad to say. It's sad to see like people that young, like granted, like you can have a drink every now and then, but it's like don't drink so much that you're going in and out of rehab and you're ruining your own life just because you wanted to have a drink and stuff. And you're mixing pills with that as well on top of that. So it's kind of like it's like, look at me sound like a therapist. Like it's not a good way to go out, but it's like at least like Steve like at least Joe Elliott was just saying like go home, like focus on yourself, like focus on your family, like do whatever you want to do for the time being and then come back to us like when you're good and sober.
Yeah, and again, this is why I really like Joe Elliott. He is very, like I said before, he's very, very like passionate about what he does. He doesn't like to see anybody struggle. He wants people to take care of themselves, that kind of thing.
Hmm.
Now, what's really interesting is a couple years prior, Phil Collin also used to be his drinking buddy. He used to be Steve's drinking buddy. Phil Collin got sober. He decided to sober up because he felt like he was kind of like an influence to Steve. Because him and Steve were like fucking like two peas in a pod. Like they were close. They were really tight knit. They did everything together. Um, heck, they even uh, did the do with girls together. We'll just say that. Um, I'm serious. Like this is that they were really, really tight knit. But however, Phil Collins decided to get sober because he didn't want to live his life like that. He felt like he was kind of like an influence to Steve, and he figured that Steve would stop. But unfortunately, no. Steve kind of got worse as he was kind of the only one at this time doing this in the group. So it's really, really sad to think about that. Um, Obviously, this death took the band like it kind of like
Hit them hard,
it
say
did,
the least.
yeah. And with Adrenalize, it kind of makes this album a little sad for me because it's kind of like a tribute to Steve. Because this is the first album that they did as a four piece rather than a five piece. Usually, there's five members of Def Leppard. They did it as a four piece with Phil Collins playing Steve's guitar parts where they needed to be,
Hmm.
which that's absolutely incredible that he can mimic Steve's skills. Um, Honestly, I'm actually like kind of like getting like goosebumps just thinking about this. Um, yeah, it's just absolutely heartbreaking. That's why it's kind of hard for me to listen to Adrenalize sometimes because I think about Steve every single time, especially when you get to the track White Lightning.
Because that's contributed or
It it
tribute to Steve.
it is a massive tribute to Steve, and Joel even mentioned that himself. That song is a tribute to Steve. Um, wow, I honestly can't wait till we get to that album. It's a
Hmm.
very, very bittersweet album for me, especially because, like I said, this was the first album I got as a kid by Def Leppard. So this is what kind of introduced me to them. But wow. Okay, so we fast forward to 1992. They, of course, were looking for a replacement guitarist to fill in Steve Clark's spot. They brought in Vivian Campbell, who actually, interestingly enough, he was for Whitesnake and Dio, which is kind of cool because I am a Dio fan.
Yeah, it's like again, it's like a very underrated guitarist.
Absolutely. He's actually really good too. Like I think he had cancer though, like a few years ago, and I think he's recovered from it now. Um,
That's good.
but yeah, he probably the only person that could actually really like nobody can replace Steve. Obviously, nobody can like exactly sound like
Hmm.
Steve, but this was like the next best thing they could get at this time. And actually, to this day, there are no more lineup changes. The lineup remains as it is: Joe Elliott, Rick Savage, Rick Allen, Vivian, and Phil Collins.
That's a good solid lineup right there, to be honest with you.
It is. It really is. And the only two members from the OG lineup are Joe Elliott and Rick Savage. Rick Savage plays, I think he plays bass.
I mean, hey, he's a really good solid bass player too.
He is. He is. So the years go on. They make more albums. Slang and X were not their greatest work. Um, Kept touring and stuff. They just recently did a massive tour. I think this past year, they had Poison, Joan Jett, Def Leppard, and Motley Crue.
Hmm.
That is absolutely huge. I would have killed to see that, especially freaking Joan Jett. Like Joan Jett came to our county fair years ago when I was a kid, so I don't really remember it. But man, I would kill to see her nowadays. Like that is so cool. They're still raking in the money. They're still selling merch and albums like no tomorrow. They're still one of the biggest groups worldwide, not just here, not just in the UK, but worldwide. And
Mm-hmm.
it's really good, like I said, to see that we still have old school rock and roll that lives today.
Yeah, for sure.
And to top it all off, in 2019, Def Leppard was officially inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
But it's like it's crazy to think that like, so many years later, like after, like High and Dry, after Pyromania, after Hysteria, and after Adrenalize and stuff like that, it's like you would think like they would have been like entered into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame like
Sooner.
sooner. But it's like it took like a long time to get them into that. Like it took like what Aerosmith like till '06 to get into the Hall of Fame.
I'm going to look
I
that up
think
real quick.
I think I could be wrong, but I think that's like how long it took.
This was
It took
2001.
two okay 2001. Okay,
Wow.
so I was 5 years off, but still same ballpark.
What's crazy is like there's still groups from like the 70s and 80s that are yet to be introductions to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Now they had released the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame 2023 candidates. I know Cyndi Lauper was one. George Michael, wow, George Michael, really? That is crazy.
That's
Um,
interesting.
that is interesting. I never considered him rock. Um,
Mm-mm. I just
same,
consider him like pop and stuff.
yeah. Iron Maiden is one of the candidates this year.
That's good.
I would like to see them get in. Another legendary group, of course. Why the hell is Willie Nelson there, though? What the hell?
I consider him, country Hall of Famer, actually.
Yeah. Oh, we also got Soundgarden. Wow, that would be nice.
Yeah, that'd be nice because it's like, it's honoring, Chris and
We
stuff.
also got the White Stripes
Okay, I could say that.
and Rage Against the Machine. These are like all the big names that I really know.
Yeah, Rage Against the Machine, they're kind of like not new metal, but I would say like,
They're kind of like Beastie Boys kind of thing.
yeah, I would say. Um, like yeah, because like they take that, rap and then that rock and roll style and it just meshes really well.
Yeah,
Um, but that's a good, solid candidates for this year.
absolutely. I definitely agree. Okay, so yeah, I really don't think my love for Def Leppard will ever fade away. Though I
Oh
do,
no.
I do, tend to drift off and go listen to other groups and focus on them. I will always remember where I came from, and that is Def Leppard. This was the first group I really grew to love as a kid. And again, I really don't see my love for them ever stopping. And I really hope that you like them too, Daisha. By the time we're finished with all these albums, I'm sure you will.
Oh, I probably will. It's just because, like I had said before, I am the novice here. Like, I don't know a lot about Def Leppard, but she does. I can trust her. I trust her instincts. If she says I'm gonna like them, I gotta like them.
There's shit that I didn't even write down that I had mentioned in this episode tonight. Like the stuff about Phil Collin becoming sober. I never wrote that stuff down. That's just from memory. Just from watching documentaries and studying Def Leppard so much as a kid.
Right.
But yeah, that's gonna wrap up Let's Talk Def Leppard. I can't wait to get into the Def Leppard stuff this week, starting with High and Dry, and I can't wait to bring some more Def Leppard content to this channel. I'm actually really, really excited.
Yes. Yes.
So, I leave a question for you guys. What's your favorite Def Leppard album? Let us know on social media or in the comments. Just let us know. I'd like to hear what everybody has for a favorite, just so I can figure out, okay, which album is going to be banger, which one's going to be a flop. All right, so um, got Song of the Night by yours truly. Since we're on the topic of Def Leppard, and I had just recently listened to a couple tracks before recording this, I'm gonna go with a track from a Generalize. I'm gonna go for the closing track, "Tear It Down." Um, This track, I really, really love it. It's
Hmm.
just I don't know, like it's hard to explain. There's not really much to explain. You know how like a song's just so good, you can't explain how good it is.
Right.
Like this is one of those tracks. So I'm gonna go with "Tear It Down" by Def Leppard from the album Adrenalize. So be sure to go listen to that if you guys are interested. Get a little taste of Def Leppard. Um, there should be a link in the top right hand corner of the episode towards the end. You guys can go ahead and click on that, and it'll take you to the video. Have fun. Listen loud. Um, so we are entering March this week, and our very first episode of March. Yes, we are doing another random ranking episode, ACDC edition. Man, our first one was absolutely fun to do.
It was very interesting. Like, but the tracks that we got this time, it's gonna be hard to do because it's like the last time, it was kind of easy for us in a way.
Yeah, we got hit with
There,
an easy one.
we got through a softball. This is a curveball that we got through this time.
Yeah, there's really a lot of good tracks here. There's a couple here that I'm looking at that are not as good as the rest, but yeah, this is going to be really hard. So I'm just gonna list them off since I do have time. I'm gonna obviously list them off again at the beginning of the episode for Thursday. So
Mm.
our contenders are for ACDC album ranking episode 2. Not album ranking, song. Wait, random ranking. I'm getting all my words
Random
mixed up.
ranking.
Random ranking. That's what we're looking for. A random ranking. So we have Riff Raff from Powerage, Safe in New York City from Stiff Upper Lip, Go Zone from Blow Up Your Video, Sink the Pink from Fly on the Wall, Jailbreak, which is from the Australian version of Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap, Code
Mm.
Red from Power Up. Wow, we got like a really recent track. Let There Be Rock from Let There Be
Let there
Rock.
be rock.
We have Nick of Time, another track from Blow Up Your Video. Shake Your Foundations, another track from Fly on the Wall. And for those about to rock, we salute you from, you guessed it, for those about to rock, we salute you. This is going to be very difficult because if you guys went and watched part 3 of our ACDC album ranking, my top 2 albums were literally Fly on the Wall and Blow Up Your Video as 1 and 2, respectfully.
Mm.
This is going to be hard because, man, wow. Yeah, this is going to be very, very hard. Um, I'm just saying, we're gonna do more of these. We're gonna do more of these with like different groups. Like we're gonna do Blank. We're gonna get to Def Leppard eventually. We're gonna do more Billy Talent as well. We gotta do another Billy Talent one soon. But yeah, this is going to be very difficult. But I'm ready, and I'm sure you are, Dystro.
I'm ready.
So if you guys are interested in hearing that, be sure to tune in on Thursday on literally the first week of March. I can't believe that we're starting March off like this.
um, before we go, I I had wanted to do something
Yes.
um on the show. So um last Thursday we had talked about doing like a little like motivational sort of thing on the pod, featuring me as my buddy Patrick,
Patrick
um
Star.
Patrick Star, and I think I do a pretty good Patrick Star. I mean, you've heard it before like a million times.
There's two
Um
reasons why we're doing this. A, to spread positivity like we usually do, and B, to
mhm.
showcase Dystro's ability to voice act.
Yeah, yes. So I had like looked up like funny inspirational quotes and stuff like that from like comedians, writers, actors, and thought leaders and what have you. So I'm gonna do this one. It's from Lily Tolman or Tomlin. It says, "I always wanted to be somebody, but now I realize I should have been more specific.
Oh my god.
Thank you. This has been Patrick Starr signing off.
Patrick Star approves this message.
Patrick Starr approves this message.
It's just a fucking presidential candidate.
I, Patrick Starr, am going for president."
Running in 2024. Oh my god, we gotta clip that. We have to clip that.
My vice president is my pet rock.
Oh my god, we
Rocky.
gotta. I'm telling you, you gotta clip that, Dystro. Please clip that.
Oh, I will.
Oh my god. Okay, Patrick, go back to bed. All right.
Okay.
So if you guys stuck around to the very end, we greatly appreciate your support. Be sure to go follow us on social media by clicking on the link in the description below, which will take you to Linktree. We've got Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Reddit. Be sure to go follow us there to keep up to date with the podcast. And also, Dystro's gaming YouTube channel is getting pretty close to his 400 subscriber goal. So let's get him there. He does weekly gaming content. Sometimes I'm in there too because we do game outside of the pod. Um, so be sure to go check out his stuff. Go subscribe to him. Share his stuff. Spread it around. And yeah, once again, be sure to listen to tonight's song of the night, "Tear It Down" by Def Leppard. And that's it. Thank you guys for joining us, and we will catch you this Thursday. Peace.
Peace.